Hello, my name is Jenny Grove and I'm from an organisation called Take Your Place. I'm here today to talk about how you can make the most of everything that you've learnt today. Well done for coming, for attending, for taking part and showing an interest in your future. It's a really good step in the right direction, the fact that you've tuned in today. Now, today you have learnt lots. You've discovered about options. You've learnt about UCAS and personal statements. You've heard about student finance, found out about the local job market, and loads more. And now what we need to do is think about how to make the most of all that learning. One question that you probably get asked a lot is, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What are you going to do next? Lots of people will be asking this of you. Whenever you come to a crossroads, whenever you come to the end of an era, so the end of GCSEs, the end of A level, the end of BTEC, whatever it is, people are going to be saying to you, what next? What next? And it's always more for young people. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I quite like this example. Chicken nugget scientist. Who knew that was a thing? But apparently it is. And that's the thing about careers and the world of work. They are changing fast. In fact, it's been estimated that in 2030, 80% of the jobs that will be available, they don't even exist yet. Because those jobs are at the point of development at the moment. Companies are thinking about what they're going to be doing next. Technology is advancing all the time, and new jobs will be coming online. Let me give you an example. You can't see me because this is a presentation, but if you could, you'd be able to tell that I'm knocking on a bit. And when I went to school, there weren't any mobile phones. Well, they did exist, but people didn't really have them. So if I'd have gone to the careers advisor and said, I want to be an app developer or I want to work in cyber security, she would not have known what I meant because those jobs did not exist. And in quite a short space of time, those jobs now do exist and are fairly commonplace. And in fact, you can go to university to learn about cyber security. But the thing is, things are changing. And you will be going out into the job market maybe in sort of 5-6 years time, depending on what stage you're at in your career. And you will be going into a place that's very different. Hopefully coronavirus will be a thing of the past and the economy will have recovered and you will be going out into a new work environment. And what we're doing today is thinking about how you can best prepare yourself for that new work environment. And that's the point of this session. How can you make the most of everything you've heard and seen today? Because you've done the difficult bit, you've sat through all the presentations, and now you've got to think about how you're going to make the most of all this knowledge that you've just gained. And I'm going to give you some tips and places to look and things you can do that will help solidify this knowledge and put things into action. If you're like me, you're a bit of a list maker. But I'm also a bit of a procrastinator. So I don't always do the most important things first. I tend to do the little things first that I know are easy. But when it comes to making decisions about your future, it can be overwhelming, and that's why we procrastinate. So it's best to just break it down into chunks. Depends how you work. A mind map might be good. Just write things down. Write down what you'd like to do. Write down your ideas. Talk to someone about them. It's quite often we have them all in our head, but we haven't told anyone about them. We haven't written them down. So they're not really a reality yet. So thinking about what you want to do and talking about that to somebody is a really important step of making your decisions, of thinking about what you want to do next. One thing you can do is use websites. So this website is called Prospects. It's a really good website. You can go on there and you can start from a different point of view. You can start with, I know I want to be a lawyer, so I'll just search for lawyer. Or you could go on there and say, I want to study a degree in psychology. And you can you can put the degree in that you want to study, and it will tell you all the kind of jobs you could get. It also gives you a little bit of labour market information. So it would tell you how much the job might get paid, where the job is available, if it's an area that is increasing or decreasing. Also gives you some information about what graduates who've got that degree go on to do. So it's a really useful website. It does also have one of these career type quizzes on there. So you answer questions and it prompts you with some kind of careers that you might want to do. I always think these quizzes are quite good to do because they give you some ideas. So if you don't have any ideas, doing one of these quizzes might help. Don't do one of these quizzes and think it's going to tell me exactly the right job for me, because it's not an exact science, but it might suggest some things you haven't heard of before that are interesting to you. So that's something you could do to take action. Now, I've said that the job market has changed and is changing, and in some ways it's better to think about skills rather than jobs. So what are the skills I will need for the future? And this is another thing you can be doing. You can be taking action to think about the skills that you need and improve the skills that you need. So here we can see the top skills that were in demand in 2015 and 2020. And we can see some things have changed. One thing that hasn't changed though is complex problem solving, top of the list in both areas. Complex problem solving is thinking about really big issues, so things like the refugee crisis, climate change. These are big complex problems. Now, you're not going to be able to solve these on your own, but if you're somebody who can think about things from lots of different angles, then you might be somebody who can develop complex problem solving skills. If we look at number 3 in 2020, we can see it's creativity. In 2015, that was number 10. Now, creativity is a really important skill, and it's something that we can't get technology to replicate. We can use technology to help us be creative and to create things, but technology in itself can't be creative. So sometimes when I'm talking to people who are creative people and they want to go to university and do art or photography or drama, but they think this would be a bad choice because they don't know what job it would lead to. Well, actually, the creative skills that they will be learning and improving while they're on those kind of courses will prepare them for a whole range of jobs, because creativity is a skill that's needed and valued. Another one that is new in the list in 2020 is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is one of those weird words, isn't it? But what it means is how you can cope with new situations, how you adapt to things. It's things like motivation and resilience, and they're words that you probably have heard a lot about. And it's completely new in 2020. And I think that if this list were to be done again now after coronavirus, that it might be even closer to the top, because emotional intelligence is a bit about our mental health and how we look after ourselves and how we deal with things. A lot of office workers are now working at home, and some people have found that really challenging, going from an environment where they're with people every day to working on their own at home and only seeing people via Zoom calls. So you will be getting lots of emotional intelligence skills because you're living through the coronavirus, you're coping with the fact that you're still at school and you've still got exams and you're still planning for a future. So you need to be thinking of examples that show your emotional intelligence, and then you can use these on your personal statement or on a job application or in an interview. Another one that is on both lists is cognitive flexibility. So that's thinking about using your brain in lots of different ways. So are you able to switch from one thing to another? Are you able to adapt? And again, coronavirus is a really good example of how you are able to change and adapt. A bit more about skills. Now, we tend to set skills into two areas: hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills really are things we can learn, things that I can go to school and learn. So maybe computer programming, or I can go to university and I can get a degree and I can show you a certificate that says I can do this. Soft skills are a little bit harder to define, a little bit harder to teach. We can learn them, we can improve them, but they are part of our personality as well. So these are things like communication skills, flexibility, teamwork, time management. These are also known as people skills or interpersonal skills. Again, you're going to be improving these all the time while you're at college or sixth form. When you go to university, you will be building on these skills. And the trick is to think of these examples. Remember a time when you've used your communication skills well. Log these examples because they're really useful for any time you need to apply for a job or a course or you have an interview. You can give examples of what you've done. And this is another way you can take action from what you've done today. Think of examples that prove your skills. It's a really useful little bank of knowledge to have. Work experience is something that employers and universities do often look for. Now, coronavirus again has made this difficult for you, but it's still something that you can do, that you can take action again from today and sort out some work experience. A lot of people, a lot of companies have actually worked on creating virtual work experience. So these are things that you can do without having to go into the workplace physically. Barclays Life Skills has got a great online virtual work experience tool that you can use. If you're interested in law, they have created a lot of different work experience opportunities through different law partners. There's a program called Speakers for Schools, which also offers virtual work experience. And then there are also ones for medicine. If you look at Medic Portal, there are other kinds of ones for veterinary studies. There is a lot out there. So if you're doing a course, or you're hoping to do a course that you know would usually require work experience, then do start doing some research. Take some action to find out if you can get some virtual work experience. So if you can't do it in person because of coronavirus, what else can you do? That will show employers or the university that you've got tenacity, you're going to persevere, even if obstacles are put in your way, you're going to find another way to do things. Virtual work experience is one of those alternative ways of getting something done. Another way of getting something done is FutureLearn. This website offers you lots of free courses in a whole range of different areas. You can search, you could put any word in. So if you're interested in psychology, just put psychology in and it would bring up all these different kinds of courses that are related to it. Equally, you could put in sport, you could put in anything that you're interested in at the moment. Put in coronavirus, see what it brings up. These are short courses that have usually been put on by universities, either from the UK or from around the world, from America and Europe. They might have been put on by professional bodies. So these are all short courses that are free. They usually are a couple of hours a week over a couple of weeks. And it just is a way for you to explore something outside of the work that you have to do at school or college. It gives you an opportunity to explore a new subject, a new area, something that you're interested in. This can be really useful for a topic of interest for your personal statement, something to talk about in interviews. It just shows that you're somebody who does take action, who takes things up for themselves, who wants to develop their own interests. And again, it's online, you can do it from home in your own time, but it's a great way to show that you are interested in the subject and for you to learn more about a subject and think, yeah, this is something that I'm really interested in and I want to know more about it. So it's a great way to take action from today. Now, some of you watching this and watching everything today will know exactly what you want to do, and this has just confirmed it for you. Some of you won't have a clue what you want to do still. Either way is fine. Just remember that things don't always go to plan. Coronavirus has shown us that absolutely things don't always go to plan, and things outside of our control can mess things up. But it's how we deal with this, how we react to it, that's important. Success is not always a straight line. It's lots of wiggly lines. We might start in one direction and think we're doing really well and then think, actually, this isn't what I want to do, and change direction. And that's absolutely fine. Lots of people have lots of different jobs, more than one career, and that's why building up all those transferable skills that we talked about, that's why that's important. Thinking about what skills you have is just as important as thinking about what job you want to do in the future. thinking about what university course you want to do. What can you bring to that course? What will you gain from that course? Think about these things and work out what's right for you. So I really hope that you've enjoyed everything that you've seen today and that it's given you some really good ideas for what you can do in the future. It's good to take time to reflect on what it is you want to do. If it gets overwhelming, then talk to somebody about it, write it down, think about it in a different way. Use your cognitive flexibility to overcome these issues. And well done for taking the first step and for thinking about your future. Because as long as we're thinking about it, we're heading in the right direction. Thank you very much for listening.